Greetings, greetings, greetings all. I hope you guys see this live because I don't know what took place on that other live, but as you were, I'm going to wait for people to come in. I guess the YouTube mafia is at it again. I don't know why this thing feels like it's moving slow motion. Everybody should be coming back in the door. That was weird. I'm not exactly sure why it dropped, but you know, such is life. What can I say? What can I say? It is what it is. Give me 1 second, everyone. Greetings, greetings again, guys. I don't know what was going on. Now, I do see that I'm moving in this kind of slow motion-y thing. Not really sure why, but you know, wait a minute. Perhaps this is it. What is this over here? Let me close this out as well. Perhaps. Does this seem better now? Am I less? What a weird stream. What a weird. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure it out. Hello, everyone. Greetings, greetings, family. Come on in. That was very weird. But we're not going to waste any time over it because, you know, the enemy would love us to waste time, and I'm not going to. We have important business to discuss. Hello to the family. Hello, everyone. Greetings, greetings, greetings. I'm happy that everyone is here. Let me start all over again. Welcome to the Dopest Nerd. You guys could have been anywhere in the world, especially in these internet streets, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Shout out to my girl, the Dopest Mod, Locked Hair Don't Care. Show her some love in the chat. You know how we do it for Lock. Throw them blue butterflies up. Throw those blue butterflies up. Now, you know what the rules are, guys. As you come on in, you know we don't wear shoes in the house. Take your shoes off, leave them by the door. Grab a pair of fuzzy socks out of the basket. Put them on, throw your feet up on the couch, relax, stay a while. You family now. We are here to discuss very important business. We are here to discuss this master class of cinematography, a master class of representing someone and showing their culture in a manner which is conducive to both them and the story you're trying to push forward. And when I tell you, oh my goodness, Ryan Coogler understood the assignment and hit it out the park. He owes us nothing. In fact, I would pay money to go see that movie 100 times again. It was that fantastic. Clearly, the movie of the year, might be the movie of the decade, best movie for me of all times. I mean, we've seen movies that entertained us, movies that delighted us, movies that did all types of stuff. But what about movies that educate us in a holistic way about discussions that need to be had? And so, like I said, welcome to the Dopest Nerd. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us. This is a spoiler alert. This is a spoiler if you haven't seen the movie yet, or if you feel like you want to walk in and see the movie with some knowledge under your belt because you don't know what to expect, whatever your issues are, or whatever your things are. If you're here in this discussion, please understand that this is a spoiler alert. We are going to discuss the movie. First things first, I want to address the Latinos. Any Latinos in the room? Not y'all good Latinos. Not our nerd herd family. Them over there, back over there in the internet. You know, the knuckleheads that are out here in these internet streets making trouble, saying things like, "Oh, Ryan Coogler, why didn't you feature us? Why didn't you give representation to us? And oh, you put other people in it, but you didn't put us in it." Let me talk to the Latinos first, not the nerd herd Latinos. Y'all are one of us. Y'all are good just like us. You know, we are United Nations of a family here. And a lot of people use the term melting pot. I don't think melting pot is the appropriate term, because melting pot, it gives the impression that you are melting away your culture to meld into one thing here. And I think that's not necessary. I don't think that's necessary here. I don't think it's necessary in America. It's certainly not necessary in the nerd herd. It's certainly not necessarily. I think a better term, which is what our first Black mayor of New York used to use, Mr. David Dinkins, he said, "This is a beautiful mosaic." That's what this is. We are a beautiful mosaic. We are all people of all lands, of all walks of life, coming together, holding on to our heritage, our culture, and our personal identity, and displaying it proudly, showing it, and not having to disavow our culture to make other people happy. And so we are a beautiful mosaic. I don't want to be a melting pot. Melting pot melts everything together, and then you end up with the gap of society. Blue chambray shirts and khakis. No, thank you. And boat shoes. I want us to all hold on to everything that is us. I don't think it was very Illuminati. I think it was very an indictment on society. I think it was an indictment on society. I think he masterfully used allegory all through this to espouse the points that he wanted to make. And so, with no further ado, I think the best place for us to start is to watch the Sinners. What you call it? Let's see. Did I have the right one?
Discover the city. Discover the food. Discover the culture. Discover.
Today is weird. What's going on today?
Come and discover that.
Sheesh. Okay, great.
His people did not call him general or king. They called him Kukulkan, the feather serpent god. Killing him will risk eternal war.
He's coming for the surface world.
We know what you whisper.
This is not the one I wanted on the screen yet. This is the one I wanted on the screen. Okay. That's what was going on. I was like, what exactly is happening? Look, that's me being prepared in advance. So let's get into this. Fair use. Are you saying that you can't hear? You can't hear? Put a 1 in the chat if you were able to hear. I see Locked put no audio. Are you able to hear this trailer? What on earth is going on? I tell you. Let's see. All right, let's try that again.
We've been gone a long time.
Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear
Be
it.
back now.
Are you guys able
twins?
to hear it?
Nah, we cousins.
There are legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It can conjure spirits from the past and the future. This gift can bring fame and fortune.
Will somebody take me in your eyes?
But it also can pierce the veil between life and death.
Listen here, this ain't no house party. Shit. Y'all ready to drink? Y'all ready to sweat till y'all stink?
You want some?
You keep dancing with the devil.
Careful, boy. You gonna bite off more than you can chew.
One day he's gonna follow you home.
You got us a problem now.
What the hell going on?
Oh, we heard tale of a party.
This world already left you for dead. I can save you from your fate.
You don't need no saving.
Yes, you do.
And you are?
I am.
Your way out. Don't cry. It's all better now.
Yes, I lied to you. I don't believe in magic. Ghosts, demons. Just power. Somebody please take me.
We gonna kill every last one of you.
I ain't mean to scare you. Thought y'all done forgot about me in here. Come on, open the door, let me on out of here. Stay. It's you? Of course it's me. Open the door.
That ain't your brother.
Lie to you.
Yo, smell anything? I think I shot myself.
My. Ugh. The technical difficulties are just too much on this episode. My. So many things to unpack. Where to begin? Where to begin? So many things to unpack. One moment. So many things to unpack. When I tell you, Ryan Coogler understood the assignment and he ate no crumbs. Okay? No crumbs. One of the most masterful cinematography submissions the world over. When I say fantastic, now I hear a lot of people saying, oh, it's a vampire movie. Oh, it's a horror movie. No, it's not. It's not a horror movie unlike the horrors we go through in everyday life. He just understood the vampirism in the movie is used as allegory. It's used to represent colonization. That is colonization, that is exploitation, that is enslavement, that is all of the things that occupational forces exemplify. People that come and try to control another people or group of people, that's what that was. We have to learn to be able to read between the lines. No longer can we walk through life and say, oh, well, I thought it was such and such. And when I hear people, and listen, we're not a monolith. People take in information the way they take it in. However, when I hear people come to the internet and they're like, oh, that was corny, or it was stupid, or I didn't get it, it just tells me that you haven't grown. It just tells me that it's like they say, stick a fork in him, he's done. Well, stick them back in the oven. They ain't finished bake yet. You know what biscuits feel like when you take them out too soon? They look a little golden on the top. You're like, oh, I caught them so they didn't get too golden. And then when you flip it over, it's doughy. You bite into that? Baby, this movie was magnificent. Magnificent. Goes down in history. So let's unpack some of the things. Let me read off the characters for you. Spoiler alert, anybody who hasn't watched it, what you'll get here is, if you choose to stay, what you'll end up with is a better understanding if there are certain things about the culture, if there are certain things about the time period, 1932 Mississippi Delta. If you're not aware of those type of things, then you will miss it. Now, let me just deal with the Latinos first, because the Latinos, not all, when I say we're not a monolith, so when I come here and I make critique or judgment about something, I'm not talking about the entire group. I am merely talking about the ones who came to the internet and saw fit to try to bash this movie, who saw fit, tried to bash Ryan Coogler, who came in and said, oh, how come you didn't show us Ryan Coogler? How come there's no Latinos in the film? Well, a couple of things. If you understand historical context, any Latinos that would have been in the Mississippi Delta in 1932 would have been the Latinos that came in that were encouraged to come to America to take up some of the sharecropping duties that once the Great Migration took place and a lot of Black formerly enslaved families made the Great Migration north or west, there was a lot of sharecropping or a lot of planting and plowing of fields that needed to be done with no manpower, because the white people at the time were not going to do it for themselves. And so they encouraged Mexicans to come over and do that work. And they came over and they were working in that area, doing the work that formerly enslaved people did in sharecropping situations or for low pay. You have to understand historical context before you come in talking a bunch of junk. So what was happening? This was the Mississippi Delta in 1932. What was happening around then? They started deporting all the Mexicans because around that time, we were 2 years post the Great Depression, 1930, 2 years post the Great Depression. So prior to the Great Depression, there was ample work to be done. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. However, as the Great Depression started to become more and more of a reality, there was less work to be done. So as soon as things go down and the economy and the gross domestic product goes down, Americans don't want to see anybody else in their land doing jobs, even sharecropper jobs. Before, they wanted to be a newspaper man or a reporter or this or that. And now when things are going down, they want to plow the field, and you got their job. And so whoever the others are have to go. And that is why there were no Latinos in the Mississippi Delta around that time, because the United States government commenced to rounding them up and deporting them, and the others left on their own accord. So there were no Latinos in the Mississippi Delta at that time for the historical review. Now, from a more practical standpoint, and I know it's a movie, but we know life imitates art and art imitates life. For the Latinos that is complaining out there, not everybody, not our good Latino brethren and sistren in here in the Nerd Herd family, the ones on the internet kicking up a fuss, mad because they're not at the cookout. Let me say something to you. The last time we invited y'all to the cookout in Wakanda, let me show you what you did. Now, first and foremost, you were out here trying to bash Ryan Coogler. Oh, you stole a concept from a famous Latino vampire movie. Pause. Absolutely not. Dusk to Dawn was not a famous Latino vampire movie. Dusk to Dawn was a vampire movie that had a Latino lead with George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino in it. That ain't no Latino movie. Neither one of them is Latino, last time I checked. Secondly, the Latinos in Dusk Till Dawn were made out to be the villain and the bad guy. So you felt like that was representation? You felt like that was respect? Secondly, in his interviews, Ryan Coogler says openly and freely he was inspired by movies like Dusk Till Dawn, this, that, and the third. He didn't steal an idea. This is an original project. Now, you could go all through the annals of movie time and see we on, Fast and Furious 97. Y'all ain't out here complaining about that. You feel represented in that? Because what I notice you're not doing is going out to the dominant society and asking them for representation in their movies. Why are you not stomping your foot at George Clooney and them? Why? But you over here messing with Ryan Coogler, who went and did his thing to be able to tell stories that were relevant to his demographic. I'll have you know, I saw Ryan Coogler on an interview years ago. This had to be about 10 years ago. Let me tell you something very profound he said. He said when he had first met his wife, Zinzia, who was also co-produced this movie with him. They started dating. He lost his job. Now, you know how it is with these chicks out here, baby. You start dating a dude and you going to school and you got a job and he lost his job. They're Audi 5,000 on you. They ain't sticking around. What they say? I don't need no potential, honey. If you ain't, it's all about the job. If you want to be with me, you ain't got no money. I ain't sticking around. So let's be honest about that. However, this young lady loved him so much and found him to be an amazing young man that she believed had potential. They were both young. He kept saying, I'm going to be a filmmaker someday. Well, he was a filmmaker. He had started making a film project, but he couldn't finish it. And she was like, what's going on? You keep talking about this film. You keep talking about this film you want to do. Well, why are you not completing it? And he was like, well, I can't complete it. I need this editing software to make the movie, and I can't afford to buy it. I lost my job. I'm struggling out here. I can't afford to buy it. This young lady who was in college and had her little part-time job, you know what she did? She took her refund. You know when you're in college and you get your little FAFSA money back? You get your financial aid refund back? She took her financial aid refund and bought the editing software for him to be able to complete his movie. Latinos, where's your representation in that? Just a few months ago, y'all want to vote for Donald Trump, who is sending y'all back to whence you came from. I'm not celebrating that by no means. Everyone in this country is here for a reason, because they were seeking something better. But when you got here, you voted against your own self-interest and you voted against your own people. You knew that your own people would be impacted by your vote. And you was like, good riddance to them. Send them back home. They illegal immigrants. We vote for Donald Trump. The same ones who was doing the mariachi and the two-step to Donald Trump got sent home. Let me tell you why we ain't invite you to this party. Why Ryan Coogler ain't got y'all in this party. The last time we invited y'all somewhere, Wakanda too. Y'all came and found Wakanda, a resplendent, beautiful, lavish, unspoiled by mainstream society, independent nation in Africa that was self-contained. They had something so special. The purple herb, vibranium, all that good stuff. We invited y'all in Wakanda too, and what y'all came and did? Destroyed the entire country, broke down everything, and killed the queen mother. You think you was getting a plate at the cookout this time? Baby, you better get off my block. You better get off my block coming up talking about why we not in this movie. Look, let me tell y'all why y'all not in this movie. This right here. Let's add it to the stage. This is why y'all are.
It's our time to strike.
Let's run it back. The last time we invited the Latinos to the cookout, what happened? See, we inclusive. Everybody could come to the cookout if you could. So this is what you call it. Dusk Till Dawn.
Discover the unknown. Discover the city. Discover the food. Discover the culture. Discover. Come and discover that.
This is such a genuine.
His people did not call him general or king. They called him Kukulkan, the feather serpent god. Killing him will risk eternal war.
For the surface world.
We know what you whisper. They lost their protector. Now is our time to strike. Show them who we are.
That's why you ain't at the cookout. The last time we invited you to the cookout, you done killed the queen mama. You done tore Wakanda up. Disrespectful all in the queen mother's face, and you think you coming to the cookout again? You basically came, got a whole bunch of plates, ain't bring nothing, and brought Tupperware and took all the food. That's why you're not here. So go sit down somewhere with all that. Now let's get to the reason we came then. Let's get to the reason we came here. You was disrespectful. You killed the queen mother. You think you coming back to the cookout? Read the room. He displayed y'all in Wakanda too. He invited y'all to the party. Relax now. Did you see the Choctaw and the Asians complaining that they weren't represented in Wakanda too? No. Relax. This man is telling a story. Let him cook. So now you guys have seen the trailer. A lot of you have seen the movie. Greetings to everyone. I see your comments. Greetings. I don't know why the stream is so janky. It's a little choppy, but we're going to make it through. Hold on. Let me see one thing and see if this is the reason why it's choppy. Not exactly sure why it feels so choppy, but we going to work it out. Mama going to work it out. Mama going to work it out. Mama going to work it out. Well, I'm trying to fix it and see what's causing the choppiness behind the scenes. Either way, so of course, let's give our props to Ryan Coogler. We've watched him grow as a young filmmaker from Fruitvale Station to now, and he has exemplified a masterclass in cinematography. He has represented groups that are not traditionally represented in the manner in which he represented them. This man thought so kindly as to represent Asians that were in the Mississippi Delta at the time, and even display, historical, cultural costumes and things that were relevant to the culture during the dance scene in the juke joint. He even consulted with Asians and asked, what if I wanted to feature historical context for Asians? What would be a great thing? He consulted with the culture, not like other filmmakers do. They'll put a mockery and a condescending mockery of your culture in a thing and then, mock you, but they claim it's representation. He didn't do that. He also put the Choctaw, and first of all, shout out to the Choctaw. His name was Chaitan. Shout out to the Choctaw. Baby, they were the definition of stay in your lane. They was the definition of we came, we saw, we came to do work. They looked around, they listened to the earth. They was like, Oh, it's about to get dark. Them three crows landed on top of the house, and they felt the wind. Let's get out of here. Ma'am, is he in your house? Are you sure he's not what you expected? Let's talk about that scene, how profound that scene was. And remember, vampirism is only used in this movie as an allegory. It is not used in this movie because it's a horror movie. He understands the mastery of dressing up a lesson. It's like hyperbole. You dress up a lesson and make it look like fun, and people will get the message. Had he sat down and made this movie documentary style, y'all would have ran. They wouldn't have watched it. Y'all would have ran. Anything that feels too educational to y'all don't like it. So he just dressed it up. Vampires are an allegory for abusers. They were an allegory for colonizers. They were an allegory for people that come into your space and take over and manipulate you and take your autonomy and use it for their own benefit. It was not about bloody, gory thing. Had he said, come guys, I would like to teach you about the Mississippi Delta and the origins of blues music, y'all would have ran for the hills. Okay? Let's just be 100% sincere about this thing. You would have ran for the hills. He understood, let me throw a little horror onto it and people won't realize that I'm teaching them something. I also want to give a shout out to Michael B. Jordan. You know how difficult it is to play two roles? Now, he made them, exactly, Laura, sucking the life out of you. Exactly. He made them twins, but I think we watched them visually as twins. But to me, even though they were twins, they still represented the duality of the individual. They represented that we have two very distinct sides of us, regardless of what those two sides are. We possess two very distinct sides of us. And if you notice, one had a red hat, one had a blue hat. That was that Democrat, Republican, Crips and Bloods, whoever has that dichotomy between red and blue, good and bad, or I wouldn't even say good and bad. One was more logical, by the book, about his money, that's it. The other one was more warm, personable, loving, and not that the other wasn't loving, but you understand that distinction. Now, when they decided to separate, he knew, he said, let me send the cousin with him because this one, if he knows somebody has to be there to watch his brother. He's more happy-go-lucky, flighty, and easy to not watch his own back and get in trouble. In fact, he stated that. If he understood the dichotomy of their relationship and that his brother is successful in a lot of things because he's there to watch his back. He told him he can't watch his own back. He told that to Sammy because he knows his cousin will get caught up in the hoopla of it all and miss the obvious. You understand? And so he's like, you keep an eye on him. Very profound when I forget which is smoke, which is that, but very profound when one of them went to Grace and Bo Cho, to the Chinese, to the market to buy all of the stuff they needed for the well, let me go back. Let me go back to Remick. The Choctaw were chasing the man who fell from the sky and was on fire burning. Now, the Choctaw were vampire hunters. And it's ironic because they said, well, why did they put the Choctaw in the movie? Because there's a relationship between the Choctaw and the Irish. Remember, we heard about the Irish famine and Irish potatoes and all that stuff. Well, because of the beautiful thing called the World Wide Web, where we get to hear stories directly from the cultures that were affected by them and no more of these colonized whitewash stories, we get to hear the truth. Irish said, there was lots of food in Ireland during the famine. However, Europe was using Irish as their breadbasket. England was taking all of the Irish people's food and sending it to India and other places for the British soldiers, leaving Ireland to be decimated with famine and starvation, and which caused a lot of the people to emigrate to the New World, hoping to get away from the famine. Let's be honest. Let's remember, I think he chose the cultures that he chose for a specific reason, because back in those days, the Irish and Italians were considered the N word, just like black people to mainstream white people. Let's be honest, they were considered nookas to all American Nebraska corn fed white people. They didn't consider the Irish and the Italians them. They considered them colored. They looked down on them. They treated them. And ironically, they ended up becoming the Paddy Wagon Boys, which ended up becoming the New York City Police Department. Ironic. The same people who once were oppressed by the mainstream white Americans or British in this country in the New World grew up, developed over time, and then oppressed other people. There is a book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Khalil Gibran. You guys should look into that book. It says, there is a line in Pedagogy of the Oppressed that says, the oppressed become even greater compressors. The oppressed can become even greater oppressors without any moral fortitude. Given the opportunity to oppress someone else, they themselves will be even worse than their original oppressors. And we have lived to see that out. We have, okay, Stack is the one with the, okay, Smoke is with Annie. Thank you, K-Leg. I appreciate you, my love. Smoke was with Annie and Stack was with Mary. And so now the white couple were Ku Klux Klan people. They had their little homestead in the great by and by. They didn't have any neighbors nearby because, it wasn't fully developed then. Remick, the chief vampire, the Irish vampire, falls out of the sky because remember, he jumped down like he fell out from the sky. He was being chased by the Choctaw. Let me tell you something else about the Irish-Choctaw relationship. And I think this is why you got to know history and do research. I think there's a historical relevance between the Choctaw and the Irish, which is probably why the Choctaw knew when they had a bad one in their midst and that they were going to conquer him because they had a relationship with the Irish. Do you know that back during the Irish famine, and you can look this up. Remember what I said? Cite your sources. Look this up. Don't trust me. Look it up. During the Irish famine, the Choctaw Nation found out that Britain was starving the Irish by taking their food and using them as a breadbasket. And so they all scraped money together and sent $172 to Ireland to help get food for the Irish people. Do you know that? Look how masterful this young black boy from Oakland was. He did that much research. He understood the relationship between the Choctaw and the thing. I got to give respect to the Choctaws. They came to hunt that man down. They went to the white people. They said, excuse me, ma'am, he's not what you think he is. Is he in your home? She was so willing to disavow the Choctaws because they were Native Americans. They were others. So she was willing to disavow them. She was willing to believe Remick by virtue of the fact that they shared the same color skin, even though one was there for her benefit and one was there for her detriment. Just by virtue of the fact that he looked like them, she believed Remick and held the gun to the Choctaw. You better get out of here. He said, ma'am, he's not what you think he is. They was like, like, oh, ninja, the sun is going down. Let's get. They were the only people in the movie that stood on business. They understood what town they were in, what kind of people were around. They knew it was a sundown town. They knew that those people were not their friends, and they didn't want no smoke. That they said, live and fight another day. They got the heck on. Shout out to them. There's something to be learned about living and fighting another day. They got the heck on out of town instantly because indigenous people, like you said, Laura, extremely spiritual. And guess what they listen to? They listen to nature and the land. Felt that wind blow up, looked up in the sky, saw them 3 buses. Let's go. We're getting out of here. And they got the heck on. They were the only people that stood on business and stayed in their lane. The only people. You see how easy it was for Remick to infiltrate? And look at the allegory of Remick being a vampire. They understand. Remick being a vampire, they understand how to manipulate you. That's why, and vampires, oppressors, know how to manipulate you for whatever you're weak to. He was like, "Oh, help me! The natives, the Choctaws are chasing me." She looked out there. She was like, "Oh, them dirty Choctaws." Mm-hmm. She was ready to cock that gun back. And then he leaned over and looked inside her house, and he saw the KKK stuff. You see how quickly he swifted and knew how to manipulate them? He knew what they wanted. They about money. They about that Skrilla. They are about themselves. And he was like, "I got something for you. They tried to take everything I had, but look, they didn't get these. I have some gold." She was like, "Oh, gold." She was hooked because of the gold. You see what greed gets you? All money ain't good money. All money ain't good money. That instant greed, her and her husband, oh, they wanted them gold coins. They wanted them coins. So when they went in the back, and then she went to answer the door, Remick saw his time to strike. When the Choctaw came and said, "Ma'am, is he in your house?" "Get away from here." "No." He said, "He's not what you think." She at the door talking to the Choctaw. He back there eating her husband and her baby. They had a crib in the room. He done ate the baby and the husband. They didn't show us the baby because we didn't need to see that level of violence and stuff, but he knew how to manipulate them. He knew how to manipulate each group of people he came against. He knew how to manipulate everybody. So let's move on to Smoke and Stack going around to bring up the people, to gather up the people that they needed to come to the juke joint so they could make money. And they gathered all the people they had pre-existing relationships. Like I said on the other stream, I wasn't particularly fond of the interaction between them and Cornbread with his wife standing there, because I just felt like that was his wife, his pregnant wife. All of the people that disavowed, that said, remember, he said, "I got a good thing going on here. I got a wife. We got a baby on the way. This is my family. We good. I don't need to go." Come on. He allowed his familiarity with somebody. You see that familiar spirit, that monitoring spirit? A familiar spirit or a monitoring spirit can pull you away from whatever is protecting you. Sometimes God be protecting you. He said, "I don't want that money. I'm just good right here. We making our own money." Look, I'm not one to be like a woman should stay in her place, but perhaps if she would have minded her business and said, "How much money? You could go and get that money." Now, another child growing up without a father for the love of money. And being a sharecropper wasn't ideal, but it's what he had. And had he stayed, because it was blood money. Ashe, oh, Laura. It was blood money. The person who presented with integrity instantly, Annie. "I don't want none of that blood money." He said, "That's fake money that you got there. What you taking?" She said, "I don't care. I don't want no blood money." And that is somebody who stood on business, but for the love of a man, she betrayed herself. She didn't want no parts of it. But because she loved her husband, she loved her man, she went on ahead. Those are other mistakes we all make every day. Pay attention, guys. Pay attention. She was my favorite too. I loved Annie. This woman, he said, and listen, he understood that she was a hoodoo woman. He understood that she was holding steadfast to the culture, this, that, the other. I think while he believed it to a degree, he still had his doubts because his brother didn't believe in it. But remember what she said. He said, "So what you trying to say? Oh, that hoodoo, I thought if the hoodoo was so good, why it kept me from..." She said, "Why you think y'all still alive? You thinking the hoodoo didn't give you this, that, the other. How you went to war. You didn't travel lands and lands over lands. You fought in all types of war where other people didn't make it out, but you guys was able to make it back. How you know I haven't been working hoodoo the whole time to make sure y'all came back home? And he had to understand, like, oh, okay. And she had to charge that hoodoo pack. She took his little necklace and did some more protection over him. She wanted to make sure that he was covered. But remember, see, when you get too far away from the culture, you lose out, because had his brother had a hoodoo pack on, that girl wouldn't have been able to get him. I believe it with every fiber of my being. Had the brother had a hoodoo pack on, he would have been able to theoretically fight off the vampire. She wouldn't have been able to get close to him. Not the least of which is Delta Swim. Like I said, I love Delta Slim. He epitomized, everybody knows an uncle, a granddaddy, daddy, somebody, great grandpa, something like that. The man in the neighborhood, he epitomized, he is who he is, who he is. And he was okay with that. The only difference was every time Smoke and Stack came around to somebody, even if they said, no, we're not going, they ended up caving, not standing on business and going. And they lost in the end. You got to run your own race. As much as you like camaraderie, friends, and all of that, you have to stand on business. That's a term used by the youngins, but baby, it is so relevant. Yes, the harmonica was amazing. My stepdad used to play a harmonica, and he reminds me so much of my stepdad. Same essence of a man. He was just masterful. The movie would not have been the movie without Delroy Lindo. And that scene in the car when he passed the prisoners on the chain gang, and he stood up and hold your head and told that story. That story was amazing. It was palpable. You could feel it. You could feel it. Miles Canton, Sammy. Oh my God, this is his young man's first movie. He was phenomenal. He was masterful. Did you hear the depths of his voice? Yes, Keisha. He disavowed leaving the juke joint that he played. He said, I played at this juke joint for the last 10 years, every Saturday night, and la, 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 la. He said, this whole diatribe, they've been good to me. I know what I'm getting at the end of the night. I don't got no problems. He did that whole thing. He said, they going to be there. He done been there for 10 years. He going to be there for, I've been there for 10 years. I'll be there for another 10 years. And it's going to be there longer than I live. And then he gave him an Irish beer. Look at the allegorical representation of the Irish. The Irish beer made him compromise his integrity. The Irish man was the allegorical oppressor of the movie. He used whatever he had to manipulate everybody to get them to do what they wanted to do. Now let's talk about Miss Mary with herself. Woo, child. Miss Mary and Miss Grace Cho worked my last nerve, okay? My last nerve, because it showed the intersectionality between other cultures who love us, interact with us, think we're great, enjoy our company, love our culture, love what we do, how we cook, all the essences of us, until it doesn't benefit them anymore. Now, nobody pushed her husband out the door. He simply went out to get the car, without regarding that the three vampires were out there, because Miss Mary, before we go to Grace and Bo Cho, let's talk about Mary. Now, Mary was what you call passing. She was Black by culture, because in this country, there was a dichotomy that said if you had one drop of Black blood, you was Black. They didn't care aesthetically if you looked white. They didn't care aesthetically if you were white. All they knew is somewhere in your genealogy, you had one drop of Black blood, and so therefore you are relegated to Blackness. Some people who were the product of, and you know what we call them, no disrespect to anybody, they called them the slave master's baby, because oftentimes that biracial dynamic in the bloodline was because the slave master was sneaking out to the enslaved people's quarters and having his way with the women. They weren't just plowing his fields. he was making them, I'm not even going to call him a concubine. He was raping them. Let's call it what it is. Graping them. Let's call it what it is. I'm not going to make any apologies for it. And that's how we end up with this dynamic of extremely light-skinned women in our culture. We run the spectrum from the lightest light to the darkest dark. And in the hood, y'all know what I'm talking about. We always say, oh yeah, the nickname is, if somebody's very light-skinned, they say, that's the slave master baby. You know it. I ain't telling you nothing you don't know. So this woman had the dichotomy of being of Black heritage and culture and grandparent, because her grandfather was half, by then I say she was white. But you know, the time still designated her as Black growing up. However, once she got older, she understood the dichotomy of her ability to move within cultures. Because even the white, Remick said, why is she in there? And they said, oh, because she's family. This is what I be telling people. Everybody, 2 people do a tap dance and shuck and jive, and y'all inviting everybody to the cookout. Stop it. The same way you don't invite randoms in your house, you can't invite everybody to everything. It is the invitation of everybody to everything that is the undoing of people. He masterfully illustrated that in this movie. And I hate to say pick a side, because she should be able to coexist peacefully in both elements of her family. It wasn't the fact that she was white presenting. It was the fact that she had perceived white supremacy and white savior trope in her mind and her spirit. He kept saying, no, let him go. We don't want him in here. She was begging. Oh, I can go see. Please, let me just check. I can go find out if they're good people. Listen, they said no. You was the only one different in that. Well, 3 of the people in that room were others. Mary, Bo, and Grace. Everybody else was aesthetically, visually Black. Once you are invited to the party, who are you to invite others? That's a lesson I had to learn the hard way. You don't invite others to something that ain't yours. I done told y'all a million times, get rid of welcome mats at your door. Get rid of those stupid wood welcome signs. A people who understand spirituality created those signs. When you got, they're not just for aesthetics, baby. I told y'all all the time, the devil cannot enter your home except by your invitation. When you put out a welcome mat or those wood welcome sounds with the nice signs with a wreath, you have invited them in. Stop inviting energy and spirits into your house. Every and anybody cannot come in. And he masterfully illustrated that. Once you make a decision and say somebody can't come in, that's it. She was begging, let me go. I can go talk to them. I can see if they're good people. Why are you so hell-pressed to see if they're good people? Because she had a white savior complex. Oh, Black man, here we go. I'll save you. We've seen this. Now, listen, no offense to anybody. I'm just simply telling you what was illustrated in the movie and what we know to be the case in real life. Anybody who's offended by this, when I am not targeting anyone, a hit dog will holler, and you have to then check yourself before you wrecketh yourself. Listen, but did you call first can still look like an invitation because it's a discussion. It's embracing them in a discussion. But did you call first? Is acknowledging their presence there. Listen to me. It seems nifty and it seems good, but use the allegory in this movie of them being invited in and what ended up happening once they gained access. Look how diligently they fought to keep them out. Look how diligently they fought to keep them out. Like I said about the young girl that was in front of the store when he went to Grace and Bo Cho's store to get them so that he could get all the catfishing and whitings or whatever for the party. He said to the young lady, watch this car. I'm going to pay you. I love the fact that he was willing to teach her to negotiate. He was like, I don't care if it's me. I'm not going to allow me to cheat you, and I'm not going to allow you to let me cheat you. He taught her the art of negotiation because we are supposed to leave people better than we find them. And while everybody ain't our assignment, he saw this little girl, this young teenager sitting there minding her business, and he gave her an opportunity. That was endemic of leaving pieces of yourself everywhere you go that make others better. This young lady could have took that simple thing, the money she made and the knowledge she earned to move forward and be a success. That could have been a young Madam C.J. Walker for all we know. You understand what I'm saying? Leave people better than you found them. Drop a nugget, a tidbit of something with people to make them better than they were. Now, he gave her jewels. He was, as we call in the hood, dropping jewels. He was, yes, Keisha, he was dropping jewels. And he made her better. Even after the guys tried to steal from him and rob his truck, okay, he shot them. Not necessarily what I would use. However, he was a soldier. That's the life he lived. And that's what he chose. And even in the midst of doling out his own punitive measures, his own punishment, when he went in the store, he said to Bo, hey, I shot them 2 guys. Make sure they get some medical care. And gave the money for, like, that's integrity. I shot you, but I'm gonna make sure you get bandaged up. Notice the time and the place that they were. Mississippi Delta. The Chos had 2 stores, one on either side of the street. One side of the street was the white side of the street, one side of the street was the black. Now, how stupid of a society were we that you wasted time? Whites only. What was going to happen? These are the same people that said, don't drink from my water fountain, don't use my bathroom, don't sit at the same food counter with me, but stick your breast in my baby's mouth and feed him with your milk. Make it make sense, please. That don't make sense. How is it that you don't want me to touch you, but you want me to cook your food? You don't want me to be near you, but you want me to cook in your kitchen and feed you. This represents, if Black people were the people that white people with nefarious intent have chosen to describe us as forever and a day, if we were the evil that they claimed we were, no white person would exist anymore. All the Black women in your kitchen would have poisoned you already. We were not them. They were who they were. We were not them. And it seems like Black people have been making themselves have to prove to the world, we're not who you think we are. We're not the bad guys you think we're. They knew we weren't the bad guys. You don't let someone that you think is trash and garbage and don't drink from my water fountain, you're going to get you. You don't let them stick their breasts in your baby's mouth to suckle off. You don't let them cook your food and feed your family. You don't leave them in your house all day while you're shopping at B. Altman's and Gimbel's and, all these other stores and, Marshall Fields, and leave them with your children. If we were the savages you claim we were, we'd have took y'all all out. Henceforth, we were never them. But you can take literal chains off of people and put figurative chains in their mind to make them believe. It was the okie doke all along. You know what they say? It's a thin line between love and hate. What was presented and what is constantly presented as hate is really obsession and overwhelmingly love. Because anything I don't like, I don't pay attention to. Up until today, they are still, and I don't mean all the good whites, because there's a lot of y'all in this channel and in the world. We're not a monolith. But just to divert for a second, look at the situation with the NFL, with Shador Sanders, with his, why would you steal this young man's draft? Why would you steal his moment? He was in the NFL draft. He had practiced all his life for it, worked hard, diligently, learned a skill. They hate to see a confident young Black man. Who do you think you are? If he's showy, he's his father's child. His father's nickname is literally Showtime. What's the big deal? What's the problem? Aren't they equally as showy? Aren't you showy if you go on the NFL draft live, use a phone number you should not have had access to prank somebody in front of the entire world? Aren't you equally showy? So why are you mad that Sugar's thing is showy? Why? It doesn't make sense. It's all the okey doke. But let me get back to why we're here. Sinners. Miles Canton, which was Sammy, he had this overwhelming love of music. I love how Ryan Coogler illustrated that. And like we know in the church, before the pastor comes out to speak, what do we do for at least an hour? Praise and worship. Because praise and worship brings in the Spirit of God. It brings the Spirit of God into the room so that we could then feel it and then hear the word and be filled with the word. That's what music is about. And that's what they say. Music can conjure spirits. Now, whether they're good or bad is the thing. But music is the one thing that penetrates your subdermis and your cranium without your permission. You can be hypnotized using music, or your mental state can be altered using music without your permission. Without your permission. And that's why they say if you listen to low vibrational frequency music, it will change your brain and who your characteristics and who you as a person. And if you listen to high vibrational frequency music, that will also change you. It will also change you. And keep that in mind. The Bible says you have to guard your ear gate and your eye gate. Praise and worship. Absolutely. Praise and worship brings in the Spirit of the Lord, and then the pastor will come out. Y'all know in the black church, baby, praise and worship, everything. You better get in before praise and worship, because the earth ain't going to let you. You ain't going to be in and out her church, especially when that pastor get on. Oh, sit down. Sit down, baby. We're not opening the door right now. We all know what that's about. And you might have to go to the bathroom, and what you do? Because I let the usher know, I got business outside that door. I got to go. And she still might not let you out. If the pastor is speaking, you're not getting out that door. At least that's the old school church that we knew. Not the newfangled church where you come and go while the pastor's speaking. No. Old school black church, no. If the pastor is speaking, you will not walk out that door. So his father was that devout, oh yes, honey, that finger. His father was that devout man of God that felt like anything outside of the word of God was the devil worship. It was evil, and it was not going to be. And listen, it might have seemed extreme when his father, we saw in the beginning of the movie, Sammy was up early. He was in the fields. We saw that section of the field was picked clean. That man went and picked all his cotton, did all his chores, did what he had to do. Early in the morning, came back to the house, met the mama out front, washed his underarms, and went on to what he had to do. Talked to his brothers and sisters, woke them up, went on to what he had to do. When he reached for his guitar and it was gone, he knew who had it. His father was making his ability to play what he loved transactional. Oh, you want this guitar? Oh, well, come on in here and practice this sermon that you're going to do with me tomorrow. He made it transactional because he thought his son didn't know. But when somebody has a dream and are standing on business and resolute with what they're doing, you can't finesse them out of there. He said, this is the scripture we're going to use. He opened, found the scripture. This is what we're going to use. Sammy was so steadfast in his desire for and his love for music that he started reading the scripture. And guess what? He knew that scripture without even, he closed that book and finished saying that scripture. His father was like, oh, okay. His father tried to call his bluff, and he called his father's bluff. Because the minute that his father thought, oh, I got him now, he didn't have him. Sammy knew his stuff, and he stood on business. He was respectful, but he was like, I need some time off. I worked all week. Today's my day. I'm going to preach the scripture tomorrow. But the one thing that was steadfast, the father said, you go out there and keep messing with the devil. You be careful. You're going to follow you home. And baby, what started the movie and what ended the movie? Well, not total ended, but you understand? After all was said and done and the sun came back up, that was a 24-hour period. What was resolute? That church was still standing when he came back. And so now Cornbread, I didn't like how I think it was Stack talked to him while he was with his woman and his wife. I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I felt like there was an overstepping of a boundary in the line. And he felt like that too, but he was the cool, nice guy. Okay, I'll go. You got to stand on your business, man. You can't be wishy-washy. You got to stand on what you know. Now look at Grace and Bo. To me, when he got to the store, he was embraced by Bo with a brotherly love. It seemed very resolute and down to earth, like, this my brother. We may have been separated by time. That's what real friendship looks like. You could be separated by time and it doesn't impact the integrity and the quality of your friendship. You don't got a real friend, you don't have to talk to them every day. Time could go by, and when y'all get back together, it's just like old times. You ain't miss a beat. That's what friendship is supposed to be. He embraced his brother wholeheartedly and was all in. No, I got you. I'm down with it. Now, his wife, on the other hand, he sent his daughter to call his wife. The daughter kind of was a little side-eyeing him too, like, who is this? I don't know he. She went over there, called the mother. Look at the dichotomy of, they had a store on the white side of the block and a store on the black side of the block. The store on the white side of the block, the mother was very prim and proper and proud to be in that store. But look at the difference. It was extremely transactional. The white people wasn't paying her no mind. When you watch the movie again, go look. They wasn't paying her no mind. She was there for the benefit of their service. They didn't see her, but she didn't see herself like that. She felt accepted. In the black side, it was a warmer, more charismatic, and it wasn't all, hey there, this one, hey there, but it was a more down-to-earth, charismatic thing. They saw him. He wasn't there for the benefit of their service. They were grateful for the fact that he provided an establishment for them to be able to have dignity and shop and take care of their family. When she first came across the street, she was side-eyeing him. She was skinning her teeth. What? That's going to cost a lot of money. How much money's in it for us? And look, she said, well, where did you get all this money? She knew that it was blood money. She didn't care. She was like, well, she going to negotiate down to the thing. I want this, I want that, I want that. And she still was side-eyeing. No, we just going to sell them their stuff. We're not going to be involved. We just going to sell them their stuff. But for the love of money, people will rob their own mother. People will steal from their brother. A woman will even walk the street for that small piece of paper. It carries a lot of weight for that mean, oh, mean green almighty dollar. When they drove off, I swear to God, the daughter looked at them like she was never going to see them again. Did y'all pick that up? Did anybody notice that? When the daughter looked out the door as they drew, you saw Grace put on her Rosie the Riveter bandana. She was 3-pack out here, honey. And you could tell she had a little ghetto in her. She was like, the sign too? Yeah, that's going to be another blah, blah, blah. She was, and I'm not knocking being an opportunist, because being an opportunist only means you are open and available to opportunities that could benefit you. The difference was she was only in it because it was transactional. And while she enjoyed the culture, she enjoyed the friends, she enjoyed all of that, for her, it was still about the money. It was still about money. She was down with them as long as it benefited her. She enjoyed the culture. She enjoyed the dance. She enjoyed the juke joint. She enjoyed the fun, the camaraderie, the riz that they had. She enjoyed all of that until it wasn't beneficial to her. And she threw the baby out with the bathwater. Baby, when I tell you I wanted to drop kick the theater screen, the good woman of God that I am, I wanted to drop kick that movie theater screen. When she said, and they knew what she was getting ready to do. Come on it. Why? Your husband is already the undead. Why? Why you have to sacrifice everybody? because it didn't serve you no more. Oh, I lost my husband and they talking about my daughter. Well, later for all of y'all. Baby, let's keep it a buck. That's what they do to us still. Let's keep it a buck. Not all, not all. But let's keep it a buck. That is what other cultures, when they are no longer benefiting from their proximity to whiteness or the dominant society, whoever the oppressors perceive themselves to be, the dominant society that's in control, whoever when they perceive themselves, the others, to not be close to them, they don't need us no more. He was masterful at illustrating that. See, y'all thought y'all went to see a vampire movie. Look at all of this. I know I'm a unique person and I have these thoughts that are, I see things differently than most people. But were these points things that y'all noticed readily when y'all were watching the movie? Some of these are things that you're like, wow, you know what? I didn't even consider that. He masterfully illustrated how society treats us when we are no longer beneficial to them. Your husband went to get the car. It's not like somebody pushed him out the door. He went to get the car and he wasn't situationally aware. You know, these ninjas was outside. And I think all of them, because of the charisma and the fun they were having and everything that was going on, they lost their situational awareness. And here's the thing. He was saying, letting Black people know, you know, y'all always got your guard up. It's like none of them outside had their guard up. Anybody that went to leave, once things got out of hand and they went to leave the juke joint, they got everybody that left. Nobody had their guard up. I don't understand. You know, these three ninjas was outside. You know, they look nefarious. Even if you didn't know that they were vampires, you know they ain't look right. Said, where you from? Round here? Where? I think y'all best be heading back north. You know these ninjas ain't from around here. These ninjas outside with their banjos singing Celtic music. Oh, man, this, and let me tell you how this, it just goes to show what drew them. Remember what drew them? Sammy singing. He said, we need him. We don't even want all of y'all. We need him. I want him. They wanted Sammy. Baby, they was out there, Michael Flatley river dancing out in front. Like, we gonna get y'all. And you noticed while the river dance was their soul music, it lacked soul compared to the juke joint soul music. It was the parallels. Oh my God, were so daunting. I said, this man is a downright genius. Remick, the vampire, spoke to what everybody's insecurity was or their pain point. He spoke to everybody's pain point. And it went to show that when he used the white people in the movie, the Ku Klux Klan people were somebody different. But the fact that he chose this Irish man showed that Remick understood. Oh, I know I'm an other just like y'all. The dominant culture of white people, they don't like us either. He said, you should join us. We can overthrow them. These two were Klansmen. The man you bought this juke joint from, this wasn't no sawmill. This was a killing house. You brought the juke joint from them. They was going to come back and do you in anyway. Now, if you come with me, I'll give you eternity. You can live forever. We could overthrow the Klan. See, he didn't feel no affiliation to the Klan. He was able to morph. It is showing how the dominant culture, and for the representation of, for us to allegorically explain what he was doing, the dominant culture, aka white people, will morph into whatever they have to morph into if their intentions are impure against a particular group. That man was speaking Cantonese when he wanted to tell Grace. Cantonese, baby. He spoke to everybody's pain point. Everybody. He said everything. And when you let your guard down and when you're not situationally aware, see, I knew I could tell already that there was a predatory nature to Remick and the two people. But when Mary went out there with her white savior complex, I'm going to save them. Oh, what you got? Oh, let me see. Gold. Okay. If you notice, the vampires, their skin was very pink and flush. When Mary went out, her skin was very pale. I don't know if y'all noticed that. In the moonlight, that child was pale as I don't know what. And Remick and the other two singing their Celtic songs, he said, I want to see my land of old. That meant he was trapped in this new land and he was from elsewhere. You notice how he made them Irish too? He made them morph into, he understood in order for me to make them feel like we're welcome, we have to be other. We were singing those old Irish songs. Oh, down, 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 boom, down, playing a banjo. Because if they thought they were just plain white people, they were not getting in. But if they thought they were Irish, then they were like, oh, well, they're a marginalized community as well. Nah, we don't want y'all here, but whatever. They were not as forceful with them as they were with the Klansmen that they brought the juke joint from. And then this whole thing, I know it was the time, but you brought this juke joint from this man with a bag of money, sight unseen, no written note. You ain't even scratch on the paper and spit, stick your finger with blood. Okay, this is our juke joint now. You just handed this money over to, you didn't really have no plans of longevity. It was people not standing on business and off their own guard. It was too much of it for me. And it was allegorical. It was to display when we are not paying attention to our business, when we're not standing on business, doing our due diligence, this is how it comes in. That's how the devil creep in. So there was also, I'm trying to think of other parts. Now, once they were in the juke joint, my very favorite part of the movie, my very favorite part, put a 1 in the chat if you've seen the movie and you agree that the dance scene in the juke joint when Sammy was singing was just masterfully illustrated about how through time and space, whether it was the past or the future, the music was the indelible connection, the spirituality, the music, how he illustrated that chant that we've all said at countless barbecues, parties, whatever. The roof is on fire. The whole movie theater was singing that. We didn't even have to ask nobody. We all knew. We don't need no water. Let the mother burn. Burn, mother. Burn. It burned down till it was flaming embers, just a perimeter. And they were still dancing in the juke joint. I said, this man, you said dude was doing the crip walk, baby. When I say this man deserves if he don't sweep the Academy Awards, society is trash. And they will be telling on themselves. All the stuff they swore doesn't exist. You heard what they say, the Klan don't exist no more. That's a myth. What? Hey, baby. When Shaquita was in there with her little tennis skirt on, twerking up that thing, bow, bow. And they had the native dancers and the Asian, what they call them, they said a monkey dancer was called. Oh my God, it was all of when they had the African Dogon tribe warrior. Oh my God, I had tears in my eyes. And you know your girl be funny, honey, because you listen, black people, white people, if you haven't been to the movies with black people, we talk to the screen. We talk to the screen. When I tell you it was the funniest movie theater I had been in ages, I had them cracking up in there. When they was outside dancing and somebody was like, he was going out to the bathroom. I said, look at them out there river dancing. Boy, the movie theater went berserk. I can't help it. I talk to that screen. A lot of people was talking to the screen. It was a vibe in the movie theater, okay? It was a vibe in the whole theater. Everybody was talking to the screen. It was so funny. The dance scene, the singing, when it burnt the roof and the walls down and they were still figuratively inside of the juke joint dancing, but they were one with the air and all the different cultural masks. Oh my goodness. When have we ever seen anything like that before, guys? This is what I was telling y'all about when people was like, oh, them girls always twerking. And I said, no, it is a dance called mapuka. It was twerking is originally called mapuka in the motherland. It is the highest form of praise you could give to God. It is a dance that looks like twerking, and it's indelibly marked in us. That's what he's trying to tell us. It doesn't matter. Once you invoke the music, Mississippi Delta blues was the thing that held on over the transatlantic slave trade. Whether you believe we were here already, or some of us were here, others were brought over on the transatlantic slave trade, whatever, it was the music of our origin. It was the culture and the drum beats and the everything of our, it was masterful. Masterful. This is a young boy with a speech impediment from Oakland, California. Another thing I love about Ryan Coogler, he don't code switch. He say, I am what I am. Listen, there was a black guy on the internet too, trying to come for Ryan Coogler. Oh, he multimillionaire. He talk like an old dude from the block. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Because you speak like, oh, the Queen's English, and you ain't got nothing to show for it. So get on. The man has a speech impediment. It doesn't impede his ability to think. It doesn't impede his thoughtfulness. And he said, I'm not code switching. I am who I am. He is standing on business and living. There you go, Willow Green. I don't know who he was answering, but he's living free. Indeed. It gave me chills. Never nothing under the sun that had been, yeah, baby, let me put this, locked, give Keisha a gold star, my love. That gave me chills. Never nothing under the sun that hadn't been done already. Baby. We see movies that is the same thing over and over again. They change. There was even something that came out on the internet. Look it up. In the Disney movies, it showed Mowgli and the Jungle Book, and then what's his name? The one that eats honey. He's a bear. And Vanna, somebody in the chat tell me who I'm talking about. It's a children's book. He wear a t-shirt. He's a teddy bear kind of, and he eats honey, and he got Pooh Bear. Thank you. They said Mowgli the Jungle Book and Winnie the Pooh are the very same cinematography. All they did was change it out. Look it up. Look up Disney Deception, Mowgli, Jungle Book, and Winnie the Pooh. You're going to see frame by frame. This is the exact same frames. All they did was change out one person and put the other. This was an original idea. This man said he thought to make this movie because he grew up with his family moved from Oakland to I think a county called Richmond. And right after they moved to Richmond, he had an older uncle that moved to Richmond also. And this uncle, he spent a lot of time because he lived down the block from them. And he spent a lot of time with this uncle, and he was an older man, and he would always listen. He said the San Francisco 49ers game was on TV. He would be watching it or listening to it on the radio and playing blues records in the background. And he said he would tell him stories. And he said in 2015, he was in LA in a factory doing post-production on one of his movies. And he said he heard that his uncle died, and he felt so bad because he knew he had been sick. And he said, what am I doing here? I'm away from my family. I feel so disconnected. I need to go back home. And when he went back home for the funeral, he felt like he had lost so much. So he said also in real time, he was dealing with the passing of Nip and then some people he knew and all of that. And then it came to later on that then Dolph, he was listening to Nip and Dolph all the time while he would be working to keep him inspired. And then Dolph passed away. He was like, all of this passing. He said he listened to them so much that he was hurting. He felt like he was leaving his, contemporaries. And so he said he had talked to the producer on this movie he was making. And he's like, yo, what? I feel like I'm losing my contemporaries. Vanna! Kobe? Get Kobe. He said he felt like he was losing his contemporaries. Hi, baby. What you getting ready to do? Over here messing with me at the desk. But Vanna's calling you. Go to Vanna. Go to your sister. Go to Vanna. You don't hear her calling you? Look.
Stop being bad, Kobe. Come here.
He's not being bad. Hi, my fluffy baby. Hi, Kobe. Go to Vanna.
Come here.
Go. Y'all see Kobe's hands? You see that paw? Come on. We're doing serious business, sir. Go to your sister.
Come here.
Scram. Oh, Gordon. He said he want to be seen. All right, y'all. Say hi, everybody. Say hi, everybody. Okay, Kobe, go to your sister. The dopest dog. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, and he said he felt so overwhelmed. Thank you guys. That's the dopest dog. He felt so overwhelmed at the loss of his uncle. He felt this massive void. He said to the producer of the movie he was working on, "What music, can let you feel the angst of loss and the hurt and all this stuff, but make you feel a sense of empowerment, like it's going to get better, even if it gets worse afterwards." And he said, "The music I listen to, my favorite music does that." And he said, "What kind of music do you listen to?" He said, "I listen to grunge music." He was like, "Grunge?" And he said, "What's that?" And he was like, "Wait a minute. The only grunge we ever listened to in Oakland was Nirvana, incidentally. Smells Like Teen Spirit. That was the only that they played that song on mainstream radio and on urban stations." So he said, "Well, yeah, I listen to grunge, so maybe you need to listen to that too. It will let you feel that angst." And he said when he listened to the grunge, he said, "Wait a minute, this ain't nothing but white people's blues music. I feel this is my uncle's blues." And then he thought about the blues and he said, "Let me go listen to my uncle's records." And when he listened to his uncle's records, he said, "I got to make a movie about it." He listened to the Mississippi blues and he said, the Delta blues, and he said, "I got to make a music. I got to make a movie in honor of my uncle." Like, how dope is that? How dope is that? Through his pain, this masterpiece was born because he felt like he was so focused on growing his film career and doing what he loved doing and sewing into what his dream was. And because of that, he was detached from his family. I used to work with these women. They used to talk about Bobby Blue Bland and Muddy Waters and all these, like, they talked about all these, you know, amazing blues players. And it is an original art form that was born out of the angst and suffering that our enslaved brethren endured. That was them doing a call and response, talking to each other, and they sang it loud they were sending messages to one another, but they sang loud for the benefit of the slave master to hear, because if he heard them singing, he thought they enjoyed what they were going through. But because of the accents and the colloquialisms they used, they didn't understand that they were plotting, having conversations, talking about master, all type of stuff. And that's what it was born out of. And when they got together, they were able to commiserate together. Remember, this was a merging of different tribes, cultures that spoke different languages, and then were overseen by the overseers on the plantation, the Irish and the Italians and all. So they have a broken kind of dialect. It's not even traditional English, like they would say the Queen's English. It is a derivative of Celtic, Irish type of conversation. And so think about it. That informs how a lot of accents sound as well. Remember, these people dropped off our ancestors at different islands, different things. If you listen to people from Barbados, Bajans sound a lot like Irish. And Guyanese sometimes, which is in South America, but still a Caribbean island, we consider them still Caribbean island, still have notes of that as well. Trinidad had the Scottish and the English. You can hear notes of that still in the accent. Like, it is that deep. This is what he was illustrating in this movie. Tell me if there's different parts of the movie that y'all thinking about that I'm leaving off and forgetting. The cornbread part. Oh, when his brother. First of all, when Mary, listen, y'all know me. I ain't violent. I'm a woman of God. I give grace and mercy. It's ironic that her name was Grace. I think even calling her Grace, he was given grace by naming her Grace, because, baby, I wanted to smack her head off her shoulders. When she said, "Come on," they knew what she was getting ready to do. I'd have jumped her. She wouldn't have been able to talk. I'd have grabbed her mouth. They knew what was getting ready to happen. That's right. He had to pay homage to Unc. He grew up around that, and it was his way of, the pain and the way, and he said he could put on the blues records with his uncle's blues records, and he said if he closed his eyes, he could still hear his uncle sit in the room with him and feel him telling him stories. I thought that was so dope. The part at the end by the lake. Oh my goodness. First of all, the river dancing scene, baby, they was devouring. I mean, no holes barred. When they was dancing that jig, ooh, that movie was that part when they was dancing the jig, it was giving me the creeps. The creeps, I say. I was like, stone them suckers, get rid of them one way or the other, like sharpen your wood stakes. I was even down to cornbread when he wasn't standing on business. He didn't pay attention to the fact that just like they said to him, you've been in and out of here all night. Why you need somebody to invite you in? When Mary came back to the door, well, cornbread, you're going to stand in my way. You're going to let me come in. Well, come on in, Miss Mary. You didn't pay attention to the fact that when she went out there, she was stone cold pale. And when she came back in, she was pink and flushed. Nobody noticed that? When y'all go back to see the movie or when you go see it for the first time, pay attention to that. A lot. See, my brain works in a very weird way. Very weird way. I notice minute little things that other people don't know. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I wanted so badly for Annie and tell me again which one, Smoke or Stack. I can't remember that quick. Annie and let's say Smoke. I wanted them to live out their life. I wanted them to have that love. That was a real wholesome love. She loved her man. She had a standard that she set. Now, look, I don't want that blood money. I want to live a righteous life. I don't want this, that. My God. My God. Banking. Yeah, baby. When, and then it's also, there's a term, Smoke. Thank you. So it was Stack. There's it was Smoke. My bad. Smoke. There's an old saying when they say the devil is in the detail. Yeah, absolutely, Keisha. You're right. I knew they got her. So you know how they say the devil is in the details? When they told him to go, he said, go get my brother. And Sammy went to the room and they was getting it on. Listen, one of the things that bugged me the most, I am very direct and I'm extremely specific. I tell y'all, I feel like it's my tism. While I have never been diagnosed by a doctor for having any tism, I've retrospectively looked over the sum total of my life, how I receive information, how everything sticks in my head, how I love information and facts and details, and I absorb it like a fat kid loves cake. And I file it all away in different filing cabinet systems in my brain. I know when I hold information, when I get information, I file it all in here. It's all stuck in here. Y'all know I spew for hours to y'all. You don't see me on the side looking nothing up. If I forget something, I say, what was he was a teddy bear. He ate honey. He was a Winnie the Pooh. I ask y'all because I know what I know. And when I look at something, I am not just looking at it for superficiality. I am absorbing it like it's nourishment to my mind, body, soul, spirit, flesh. I'm taking it all in, every iota. When I tell someone something, if I say to a kid, blah, 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 baby, when I tell you those specific details I give you, you better go do it. Because a lot of things could have stopped this thing from getting from bad to worse. When he sent Sammy to go get his brother, I don't care what they was doing. Ain't nobody telling you join them. All you had to do when you stuck your head in the door. All you had to say was, your brother calling you. You would have seen that bite on her shoulder and he would have had a fighting chance to get up. But no, you made a decision for yourself. Oh, they getting it on. I'm going to mind my business. Ain't nobody asked you to mind your business. That man told you go get his brother. When they say the devil is in the details, baby, details. Yeah, the game plan was because think about it. From the get-go, the Klansmen never intended for them to have that place. Remember when, and it's because everybody didn't pay attention to, you know how they say, follow your mind, follow your first mind? We all know every culture says it differently. Tell me some ways that your culture says follow your mind or follow your this and that. You all heard your grandmama, your mama, your auntie say, follow. If you're going to do something, stick with it. Follow your mind. A lot of people betrayed their own first thought. When they were in the juke joint first, shout out to Locke, the new member. Shout out to Locke, the new member. That's right, Laura. When they first got the juke joint, follow your gut, follow your first mind. That's right, boy. Follow your gut. They walked into that place. You saw him touch the floor. He said, y'all wash this place down. They knew something wasn't right. But they didn't stand on money. Stand on business. They let their desires take away their situational awareness and their keen sense of knowing. They disavowed their own self. They go. Let me put this on the screen. That's funny. Go, Kaylee. She said, "Hey, so glad you decided to join, Locked." They disavowed their own. Nick's Mountain said, "Congratulations, welcome to the new member. Welcome, Locked. It's so wonderful to have you as a part of the family, boo. Let me hold $1." It is. They disavowed their own self. He bent down and rubbed the floor and rubbed his fingers. They said, y'all wash this place down. They knew. He said, oh, yeah, it was, it was old, whatever, slaughterhouse. We cleaned it up. We can't sell it like that. Or artillery, whatever they said. They knew something was wrong. We cannot disavow our gut. Remember, what I always say, your gut is what? Your second brain. Your brain and your gut are one. That's your second brain. Thank you, Miss Cindy. And I know lots of people saw this, but did any of these points that I made, did y'all take it? Did y'all perceive any of these points? Or did y'all pay attention to these points? We all saw the movie. Listen, when I tell y'all watch it 100 times, I know I'm going to do another one because I'll see more. Yep. Let me tell you something. Annie, that woman stood on business. And even she let herself down. Because I'm going to tell you something. When they were all at the door, she said something ain't right. Girl, you was a hoodoo woman. You knew they was dead. Before he had to say, well, y'all going to stand in my way. Y'all going to let me in. Something ain't right. What you mean something ain't right? You was a hoodoo woman. You know he cannot come in without an invitation. This is what I keep telling y'all. He said black people are the keeper of that language and white people know it in the language. And look, remember what he said? He needed Sammy and his music and his spirit because that's how he was going to connect with his people of whole. He said, I want to go back to the land of my own. That meant he probably came over when they either forced a bunch of Irish out or and the people were dying off in Ireland because of the famine, or he emigrated to the New World for a better life. And when he immigrated, he left his people of old there. He said, I want to touch the land of old. So he could not feel his people, or he probably couldn't go back because he was turned into a vampire in America. And because he was turned to a vampire in America, it probably had been so long because they have this perpetual lifespan. If he would have got back to Ireland, he wouldn't even recognized it because it wasn't his land of old. Oh my gosh. Hey, Mocha. It wasn't his land of old, but he knew if he had Sammy's, do you see the way the music was able to take them back in time and forward? He knew if he had access to Sammy's gift, he would be able to go back to the land of Ireland that he knew. Oh, okay. All right. I'll see you later, baby. And yes, she definitely had a plan. Oh, baby. Yes. And all of the symbolisms of they tried to show us these symbolisms. So there was a lot of tropes in the movie. There was that whole trope about the enemy, the devil, comes after PK, preacher's children, harder than ever, because Satan is barren. He cannot have his own children. Satan doesn't have children. He has minions, he has legions, but he doesn't have children because he's barren. And so the only joy, true joy that Satan gets is to steal children from the kingdom. Because what does God call us? God don't say we adults of God. He say we children of God. We are children of God. The devil don't call nobody a child. He don't have none. The only joy he gets is when he steals children from God, when he steals souls from the kingdom. And they needed Sammy's soul so that he could transcend back and forth in time. You see, when they was in the lake, like you said, Laura, when they were in the lake, and all of them was trying to get them, and they were killing vampires and this, that, the other, and the others were trying to get him. What did he do? Sammy knew, when he knew that Remick had him and there was nothing left to do, what did he do, baby? And it saved him, baby. What I say on this channel every day, call on God. He started saying that scripture, saying that Our Father. And you know what was the crazy thing? Remick and all of them started saying it too. He said, oh, in my homeland, the oppressors forced that on my people too. Because he was telling you, just because his skin was white, Ryan Coogler was telling you, make no mistake, these were all others. These were all marginalized communities. Because Remick dipped right back into his Irish thing. He said, listen, in my homeland, they forced that, the oppressors forced that on my people too. He said, and even though they use that to oppress us, it still gives me comfort. That was him telling you, as much as you think you're a child of God, baby, like they say false prophets, listen, they said the devil know the Bible as good as Satan, as good as God. He know that word. He got into that word super quick, but Sammy would not let go. He held fast to that word. He held fast to it. He said, he called on God, and that's how he made it through. That's how he made it through. Oh, listen. Oh, baby. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You see what she said? I love what she said. This is another thing. This was another trope. So they had the white savior trope. They had the strong black woman trope. They had the sexy, provocative woman trope when they was passing out the garlic. And she was like, I don't like garlic. They said, ain't nobody asked you to like it. You better get this garlic. Baby, she was about to get drop kicked right up out there. Because she was I was questioning her too. And he was so masterful because of how she was a married woman, but you at the train station, you ain't got no husband around you. You in the juke joint. Where your husband at? What you doing out in the juke joint? At that hour of the night. Cheating on your husband. Look what it got her. The movie was called Sinners because people disavowed their own belief and core system. When Cornbread should have stayed with his wife and his child and worked the job he had, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, he disavowed his first mind, his gut feeling, and he went ahead. Everybody, if Delta Slim, if he would have stayed with the juke joint he'd been playing at for 10 years, every week getting the right money, he know how much he gonna get this, that. But because of his, what they say, need for alcohol or spirits, what they call liquor, spirits. It was a beer, okay, wasn't quite alcohol, but it was illustrative of alcohol. And look what it brought him, to sin. Everybody disavowing their gut or their personal fortitude lost out because of sin. My people perish for lack of knowledge and understanding. Right or wrong? My people perish for lack of understanding. They understood what they should have done, but they disavowed it in the name of fun or somebody who was charismatic enough to make them sidestep what they really believe. She was a big adulterer, honey. And she was flirting from the train station. You better watch out. You're going to bite off more than you could chew. Not the least of which is cousins are cousins and they hang out with each other, but they should have been advising them better. Now, whatchamacallit did say, you're going to get out of here. This is the last night you're going to be here. You're going to go back to that church. And he said, I ain't going back to no church. I'll go off to the world and do my thing. Ooh, baby K-Lig. I didn't even see that part. You said all 7 sins were represented in the characters? My Lord. My God, my God, my God. Gluttony. Ooh, adultery. Girl, listen, Ryan Coogler is a young man. To have this level of wisdom, where have we seen this level of wisdom and mastery in filmmaking ever before? Ever. Where? Where have we seen it? K-Lig, I didn't realize that. Oh my gosh, the 7 sins were illustrated in the characters. Woo, baby. The devil cannot procreate. He is barren. He cannot make children. Or this world would have been overrun, baby. If he could make children, now he got legions. The devil has legions. The Bible will tell you that. The devil has minions, but he doesn't have children. It's a locked, baby. It's a movie that keeps on giving. It's the gift that keeps on giving. I will watch it 100 times and pay. And did you hear what's going on? They said somebody got it on a streaming thing. And is Warner Brothers now trying to undercut him by leaking his movie to the stream to somebody on a streaming service because people are watching? It's available on the streaming. I caution everyone: do not do our brother like this. We have to learn to have integrity. We cannot keep allowing ourselves to be finessed out of blessings because this man made a job. He has a career that he employs a ton of Black people on film sets like they have never been employed before. He makes sure he gives to his community like every other community gives to their community. And because our community has been set aside, set back, and held back for so long, it is time for some recompense. We're in the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius is going to last 19 years. There's a lot of recompense to be had. Now, some people theorize that we're in the last days. I've not even saying that since we was little. I know. And look at, I'm glad you said that, Laura. You said M. Night Shyamalan, the Knock at the Cabin was good too. Now here's this. You said the Knock at the Cabin. It made me think about everybody else that was bitten by the vampires. They knew they had to get their bodies out. Even the guy that passed out in the kitchen because he was drunk and he was slashed in the face. They gave him they call that a telephone cut. Well, his was more to the thing. But when they chop you from your ear to your mouth, that's called a telephone cut. That's what West Indians call it. But he was slashed in the face because they said he was stealing. The beer, just like Delta Slim said, the beer made him sick. Well, that guy was sick too, but they thought because he was slashed in the face, they thought he was bitten and they put him out. Ooh, baby, Cornbread got that sucker. My God, my God, my God. Now, they knew everybody that was bitten had to get out. But because of the love of his brother, he could not conceive of putting his brother out to his detriment. Look at what it did. And look, the only person to ever really just run out knowing that they were bitten was Mary. She ran straight back to the Irish river dancers. She flew out of there, ran to them river dancers. Like, let me go to my people. She was straddling the fence. That was endemic in Christianity. There is a theory. It's called being carnal minded, straddling the fence, playing both sides against the middle. 1 minute, she was relishing in her perceived white supremacy and being white and going to the other whites like, oh, I can persuade them or manipulate them. They'll be accepting of me because I'm just like them. And on the other side, she was like, let me in. I'm one of y'all. I'm down. I'm Black. Let me in. I didn't ask to marry a white man. Let me in. All of that could have been very well and good. And I'm sure that's a dichotomy that a lot of people who were biracial had to deal with. I don't even, judge them because it would be a hard thing to navigate. I would, even if I was light-skinned, I would still choose Black. I'm sorry. I just would. However, it was that decision, and I'm sure it's a personal decision that many people in society made. There are a lot of people that people find out after the fact that they're actually, what you said? What bothered me that they started shooting at the theater, 2 of them, huh? What you talking about, Keisha? Did I miss something? In the church, they tell you you cannot be carnal minded. You cannot straddle the fence. If you choose, you have to choose one or the other. I think a good point to illustrate that is, y'all remember what was the movie with Old Dog and Kane again? What was the name of that movie? Come on, my movie buffs. I can't call the name right now. You know, as get old, sometimes I just forget. Oh, somebody was shooting a video of the movie. I don't know. I'm missing the point. But what was the movie with Old Dog and Kane? Menace to Society. Thank you, K-Leg. Hey, locked, not New Jack City, but I have a New Jack City reference too. But absolutely, Kendrick Lamar is with music is as Ryan Coogler. Baby, that is a whole SAT analogy. Locked, give Renee a gold star. And thank you. Give K-Leg a gold star too. And give Laura a gold star too. Laura was the most active in the chat. Gold stars everywhere. You get a gold star. You get a gold star. You get a gold star. Tinseltown, the day before we went, 2 boys got shot coming out of watching Sinners. Really? Now you know that's them folks trying to put cast a bad aspersion over the movie. But just like in Menace to Society, you see the dichotomy? Old Dog was a terrorist. He did any and everything. But Cain was a good guy. There is a scripture in the Bible, and I'm not saying it verbatim, but it's like, what business does dark have with light? What business do you have mixing with people that is not of the same ilk as you? You're supposed to be equally yoked, not only in your relationship, your intimate partner relationship, but in your friendships. If you're hanging around people that's doing a thing that you're not into no more, you cannot backsliding. If you backslide, you fall. You cannot backslide. You cannot backslide. You cannot mix with company that is no longer the company you keep. You set yourself down for that. If Cornbread has stayed with his woman and his unborn baby and his family and being a sharecropper, he could have had a legacy out to be whatever. But everybody betrayed their first mind, their gut instinct, and went on and ended up in a plot. And then a lot of people put a 1 in the chat if you knew there was a scene after the credits. A lot of people missed out on that. We got to stop jumping up. What's wrong with, there was a time when we went to the movies, we sat down and we watched the credits roll. Why wouldn't you give these people who created this masterpiece their just due and look at their names, say their name? You ain't even got to say it. Look at their names. Everybody jump up and run out and there's a whole scene afterwards. You missed the scene after the thing. I saw mad people jumping up. A lady said there's another scene. People are still flushing out of the movie like it's church and they want to make sure they get out the parking lot fast. I mean, the nonsense of it all. And Ryan Coogler has done scenes after his credits in other movies. Why everybody jump up and run out? We have got to start having a little more integrity with how we move. Say their names. Let people sit down and look at the credits. Let's look at the names of the people. Let's see who these amazing people are that contributed to this thing. You missed an entire scene and a very profound and poignant scene. Right or wrong? Who said they saw the scene? You missed the scene, Willow? Oh, baby. Scene was dope. Who saw the scene? Put a 3 in the chat if you saw the scene after the oh, thank you, Laura. Put a 3 in the chat if you saw the scene after the credits. It was profound. That's right. You were either for God or for and not for the world, or for the world and not for God. No straddling the fence, no carnality. Yes, my loves, y'all saw the scene. Yes, do not rob this man and stream this movie. Let's not do that to each other. What you mean both scenes? I saw everything after the credits, yeah. Look at how profound the scene was after the credits. The man said, it's 2 more. You want to let them? He said, go on, let him in. He didn't let them in. It's this ninja and his girl. They in common times. What that tells us, it was also indicative of us knowing that vampires or oppressors or others, whether they be the Greys, reptilians, whatever you want to call them, others are on this earth with us. He was also illustrating that. My boy had a slope and he had a Gumby and a Coogee sweater on. Okay, so that tell you what era he was in. You got to know what time it is. And they told you 1992. Buddy Guide, or what is it? 1992. That was in the heart, the 90s, the Coogee sweater gave it away. I had all kinds of Coogee sweaters and Coogee dresses. The Coogee gave it away. And she had a lollipop sucking, hair in a ponytail sucking on a lollipop. What are you doing, sir? You come to tell them about the movie too? Oh, you want to go outside? I'm on doggy duty, guys. He wants to go outside. Huh? Heck no, you ain't going out in that dark. Me and Lottie gonna go out there. Energy vampires. Thank you, Laura. Even if they're not literal vampires, they are figurative energy vampires out there looking to box juice your biological fluids. You gotta be careful. You got to be more careful. Really, Renee? There was another scene after? What? Oh, I got to go back and see it again, honey. I got to go back and see it again. Listen, when I tell you it, and another trope that was in the movie was you cannot try to make something with somebody who hasn't reconciled their own existence with themselves. Mary had not reconciled her own. First of all, first to begin, let me back up a little because I stepped over something that was very profound. Another trope was the disrespected and abused woman that keeps going back for more. Because the way he spoke to her at that train station, baby, she wouldn't have been able to bite me. She was thirsty. Please, people, stop being thirsty. Her thirst, her desperation made her go back to a man that talked to her like the stuff under the bottom of his shoe on a New York City train station platform where Pizza Rat just slid his pizza down the stairs and across the platform tracks. Baby, after he called her everything, told her she wasn't no good and all that stuff, and you ain't no way. How could you let somebody talk to you like that, leave, go to war, leave you standing, come back, you still begging for him? You got a whole husband. You got a whole life, and a good life, no less. But you had to go back to this man. How you could be so desperate for a man, now you're a vampire. You got a whole husband living in a whole lovely established house. He was a businessman, a man of means. Why in God's green earth do you want somebody that bad? Talking to you all in public like trash on a hot tin roof. Hey, come here, dog. Okay, Ollie, I had to end this live because my dog, I ain't tolerating that. You ain't gonna squat in here. You is not gonna squat in here. Say bye to everybody. Say bye, everybody. I have to go to the, no, don't catch me in my face. Say bye, everybody. I have to go to the bathroom. My mommy has to go because I cannot open the door by myself. Guys, look at what doggy duty is doing something that I couldn't do it on my own. Come here. Come, Kobe. No, come out. Come this way. Get down. Get down, Kobe. Come this way. Okay, thank you. Dog duty is doing something I couldn't do on my own, making me get off the internet in a timely manner. Oh, Lord. Imagine that. Nirvana laughing, you heard me? I said doggy duty is doing something I couldn't do for myself, making me get off the internet at a reasonable time. Child. Yes, he's so fluffy. He's such a teddy bear. All right, we going. Guys, I'm on doggy duty. But yeah, before it's too late. I love you guys. This was a dope discussion. We're going to watch it again so we can see some more and come back and discuss it again. Gold stars for everybody locked. Before you leave the chat, give everybody gold stars. You guys were amazing. This was a dope. Shout out to my neurodivergence and the people in the nosebleed seats. I love you all as well. tomorrow, please God, until we meet again. I love you guys. Look at all the tropes, study these things, think about what I said, and make sure you apply them to your life, both literally and figuratively. We cannot let nobody finesse us out of our rightful ownership, our heritage, our culture, everything. Don't be finessed out of your culture. I love you guys so much. Nighty night.